Hey, it's Lauren of Visionary Stationery and Lauren V Designs, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about the way that you can create awesome font combinations, but let's find out more about how you can do that.
You like my style, huh? I'm gonna give it to ya. Watch me move it now. Why don't you come and get it? Time is up now. I'm gonna give it to ya. Don't be shy now, cause we gotta get it. It's your girl Sky with Alicia. I know you like my style. I'm gonna give it to ya. Bright like the moonlight on a clear night, so new like a full moon, fresh on my steps, mind blowing kisses, and you wish I was your missus, cause my style so strictly vicious. We can have tons of fun if you want a young diamond in a rough with eyes that hypnotize, and I bet you wanna ride someone soft and sweet, someone neat, light skin, hot jeans, fresh tees, want the best of me. They can't do it how I do it, yes I do it the best. From the glitz, the crisp, the styles, the checks, I give them one shot, so approach me if your style is hot and is the physical visual from bottom.
Alright, so we're back, and basically we're talking about different tips. I'm going to give you 3 tips rather on how you can create an awesome font combination. And people think like, okay, well, you know, I'm just going to give you the fonts and then you say, oh, that's cute and what have you, but it's more of a science to it per se. So let's look into these 3 tips. So the first tip is to start out with content first. So as you saw in that first slide, we start out with the content first. You may not think that you start out with content first, but that is important. You have to start out with what you're talking about first. Once you figure out the content, then we can go into talking more about pairing fonts and which font should be used and how you figure out which font to pair with what and what have you, because it makes it that much easier. But if you don't start out with content first and you figure out, well, how can I pair this font with this font, or how can I combine and make this font look great with this font, it doesn't help. You have to start out with what your content is going to be about first. So in this case, I'm going to start out with a quote from Whoopi Goldberg, and it's a little funny quote that I like. I'm going to put her name in here just to make sure, but it's a quote from her. So as you see here, it's kind of just bland. There's nothing here. It's just black and white, right? Because I have it in a Word document. But the whole point of me putting it on here is that I want to highlight it somehow. So maybe I want to put this on a medium, a social meme or something to put on, you know, for my social media post or something like that. So I want to think about the style. It's a funny quote, so I'm going to keep it light and airy. Okay, you want to communicate the feel. Fonts have certain feelings to it. So you want to make sure that you communicate the feel of the font and notice that as well. So if this was a more serious quotation, I wouldn't necessarily think of a font that would be fun per se, because it's something that's serious. It's something maybe motivational, inspirational. I would think of a font that's not as fun or funny or quirky or anything like that. So that's something to keep in mind as a tip, to make sure that you keep in mind the feeling of your font and what that font is, the feeling that the font is emulating. What is it saying to you when you see that font? So what I'm going to do is go ahead, and here's your next tip that's coming up. The next tip is basically to highlight the important words. So our first tip, so your feeling words here, it could be something, if it's very inspirational, motivational, or what have you, you would highlight those feeling words. Okay, if it's not that case, then you just highlight those words that are really, really important, that delivers impact. Still feeling words, but it doesn't have as much feelingness to it, like love, hug, you know, stuff like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is highlight these words because they stand out for me. Normal, I'm going to highlight normal, and it says normal is nothing more than a cycle on a washing machine. So I'm thinking I might highlight cycle on a washing machine, because that's the funny part, that's the punchline, right? Normal is nothing more than a cycle on a washing machine, because there is no such thing as normal. Believe that, trust, right? So finally that we done that, the next thing would be basically is to, your last part, and this is the last tip, is to consider your font. So how do you want your wording to feel? In this case, it's a little funny, a little bit funny. So I want this to come out kind of quirky and funny, right? And but it's also important because it is also talking about normal, and nothing is really normal, right? So I have to consider all of those options. So what I'm gonna do is, I could do this in Illustrator, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this in Canva. And let me create a social media platform here so you can see what I'm talking about, because most of the time we always use Canva, especially those of you that are solopreneurs that I'm talking to. Those of you that are solopreneurs or not, or if you have a team or what have you. Even so, Canva is really like a go-to for graphic design for entrepreneurs. So this will be the easy way to think about this. So I'm going to use a blue or something. Yeah, I'll do that. And then here's where the fonts come in. You can either choose some of these fonts that will work for it and see how they fit out, because they have some fonts here that you can kind of play around with, and you can see the combination of the font, and you can play around with it. That's fine. That's all well and good, because each one has its own style, and that's what I was talking about with the feeling. Like, as you can see here, in this case, this has a certain feeling that is very important because it's Copenhagen University Press, so that's very important. It's, you know, it's scholarly and peer-reviewed and all that stuff, so it has to be very straight and important, you know. But in this case, I don't want straight and important. I want fun and funny, so I'm not going to use that, right? So I'm going to delete all this because I don't need it. I'm going to delete this. There we go. So what I am going to consider, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go into my font choice, and I'm saying, okay, normal is the big thing here. So I'm going to click a big, get my header, and I'm going to find something that's really, really huge and make this huge, maybe like 80. And I'm going to look for something that's fun, you know. Let's try something like this. I think that would be nice. Normal. And I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Let's try it bigger. There we go. That's it. So as you can see, now it's starting to take shape. So then we talk about colors. What color I use to make this seem fun and inviting? So maybe I'll use yellow. Okay, that stands out really bright. So yeah, yellow is fine. I could do a bright yellow like that. Normal, right? So there we go. And then the thing is, what would I pair with something like this? Do I want this entire thing to be this particular font? I can make it like that, or I can add a different font here, and I can consider other fonts, maybe Quicksand, which is not bad. And I'm gonna go back to the is nothing more. As you see here, I'm gonna take this is nothing more. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna copy and paste that. Let's make this bigger. Actually, I'd like to make this even bigger, just to play around. And it's just, like I said, it's a lot of playing around just to see what works, what doesn't work, what we need to fix, what, you know, things that, there we go. Yeah, I think that works. I like that. So there we go. So normal is nothing more and I'm gonna make this maybe a white so it stands out a little bit more, right? And then we take the same font, and here's another quick tip for you. So I'm actually giving you 4 tips than 3, but here's another quick tip. Try to limit your font choices to about 2 or 3 the most. You do not want to go over to 4 and 5 different fonts. It gets totally confusing. It's just too much. It pretty much I'm not reading what you have when you have like 4 or 5 different fonts. It's ridiculous. I'm not gonna read it because it's too much for my eyes and it's hard to read. So the best, if you really want to have something really effective, 2 fonts. Now if you have a display font, and a display font will be something like this that's handwritten or scripted, meaning that it's cursive writing, something that's whimsical, something that may have graphics in it, you know this kind of thing here is, this is display font. Okay, this is not something that you would use for a for something that's going to be read like in a book or something, or on a blog or what have you. So you wouldn't use something like that. That would be something that you would use for a header. Okay, so in that case, use it for your header, a large header, and then you have a subheader, making that your very how can I say, like a sans serif or a straight font, like something similar to this, which would be a sans serif. And your next font will be your legible font. Okay, something that would be read on a blog or in a book or what have you. Do not move from 3, please. That's my last tip, and let's continue. So after that, we're gonna just go back in here and put the rest of it in. So I'm gonna go back and continue this and add in the last part of it, which was back here, a cycle on a washing machine. So I'm gonna go back. There we go. And let's try to make this bigger so that it kind of stands out a little bit. And I think that I'm gonna move there just to try it out. Just playing around with stuff just to see how it looks. So yeah, so you just kind of mess around with stuff, just to see how it stands out, how it shows itself. And the more you play around with it, the better ideas you get with it. So I'm gonna make this yellow so it stands out again, and there you go. You have paired a font together, combined the font together, and it's communicating something. You feel something as soon as you see it. You feel something. It's like, oh, okay, it's not normal. It's and it's kind of cheeky because this blue is kind of like a normal blue, but I can change it up. I could make it different. Could put something back here that maybe makes it not normal. Change the colors, or so something like that would really make it stand out and make it pop. That's pretty much what you're looking for when you trying to make a font combination. Those are the 3 basic tips that I can give you, and of course I have to put the ownership of this particular code, which is Whoopi Goldberg. So I'm gonna put that in here. And this will be work, right? And what I'll do here, I'll make this a little bit smaller so I can see how I'm moving this up a little bit. I'm gonna move this up a little bit, move that up a little bit, like that. And cool thing is with Canva, you have so many images, so I'm gonna put quotes in here, and I'm gonna get a little quote, make it super huge, just like abnormally huge, because it's not normal, right? And I'm gonna make this white and take down the opacity a whole lot and make sure it's in the back. Let's take it to the back. There we go. And now we have a quote. Bam! How you like that? How you like that? Right? Oh, I think I like it bigger. It's cool. Okay. There you go. It's a quote. You have instantly made a quote for your social media. It's that simple, right? So it's all about, like I said, going back to the beginning, knowing what your content is, making sure you do your content first, highlighting the important feeling words, then considering what you want, how do you want your fonts to communicate, what's the feeling that you want to emit here, and choosing those fonts that emit that. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, this little toot beep beep. So if you do like this, if it was helpful for you, please comment, share, subscribe below, and I'll catch you on another episode of Design Slay. Pop. See y'all later.
You like my style, huh? I'm gonna give it to ya. Watch me move it now. Why don't you come and get it? Time is up now. I'm gonna give it to ya. Don't be shy now, cause we gotta get it. It's your girl Sky.